South Africa's influencer economy is on the rise, but with great opportunity comes great responsibility. As SARS takes a closer look, influencers must stay informed to avoid costly mistakes and ensure their side hustles remains profitable. Digital marketing spend in South Africa is expected to top 500 million rand in the current year, with forecasts indicating a surge to over 850 million rand by 2030. Well, according to the newly released 2024 South African Influencer Benchmark report, local influencers can charge anything between 3,000 rand and 18,000 rand for a single Instagram post and up to 8,000 rand for a reel. As we enter the festive season, social media advertisement spend is expected to surge by up to 30%, potentially boosting local influencers' earning power. Well, to delve into the latest trends and insights from the report, I'm joined by Luncedo Mtwentwe, business advisory expert from Vantage Advisory. Welcome to the show, Luncedo.
Thank you for having me, Prudence.
And just to get onto it, what does it mean to be an influencer, and also what are the core differences into making it a profitable side hustle?
Yeah, Prudence, look, we've had influencers traditionally that would have been known either as your sports stars, your media stars. However, with social media coming into place, we've started to see normal people really getting a huge traction in terms of the followers thereof, where at the end of the day you would have picked up that they would have an influence, either in terms of the products that the marketers would give them, and people would really follow what their influencers are buying, what they're putting out there. And we've picked that up as well, that traditionally marketers would go to your old sense of your celebrities thereof. Now there is that shift that also your influencers are starting to be given that particular cake, and we've seen a number of brands and businesses growing just as a result of the fact that we'll have either your nano influencers with less number of influencers, however with huge engagement with number of people as well that can become influencers with over 1 million plus, which those ones can be categorized really as celebrities to a certain extent. And therefore, one of the biggest insights that we've picked up is that some of these people can really make a career or a living just by using social media. Yeah.
So what are the trends that are shaping the influencer economy? Where actually do we see influencers in?
Yeah, so lifestyle is one of the biggest segments that is coming up. Health as well, beauty is one of those sectors or segments that is really popping out, and most people now are really starting to take care of their health. Wellness is something that is really growing heavily on social media. So those are some of the influencers or the shift that we're starting to see when number of products or even people are starting their business around that segment, and you'll see number of people now really buying either those products that traditionally you'd find that they would be advertised in your bigger platforms. But because someone has a following on Instagram, Facebook and all of that, and they would see the difference that a certain product has made to one particular influencer, thereof, a number of people will start to really, buy those products, yeah.
So what are the common mistakes that influencers make when coming to tax compliance?
Yeah. Prudence, look, from our side, from the CNBC Impact podcast, we've had these discussions where a number of experts would come in. And one of the common insights that we've picked up is that not only influencers, but most of the SMEs, they really don't take themselves sometimes as full-time brands, where whatever that you do, people are watching. It's either good or bad. And it's one of those where we really have to emphasize to say, look, it's important that you treat yourself as a brand. That's number one. Once you treat yourself as a brand, you start to realize that I am an entity. Yeah. And that's where sometimes now the tax obligations compliance thereof that you need to be aware of, because most people usually treat this as a side hustle, whereas there are legal or tax requirements now that you're generating an additional income. So you have to declare that. And most of the people are getting to a point where they don't know that, because some of them are either employed, they do this as a side hustle. They wouldn't declare that income to SARS. And SARS is starting to really look at to say, however, the taxation laws in South Africa are clear. The income tax laws in South Africa is very clear that if you're a taxpayer and you're generating an additional income, you have to declare that when you are submitting your tax returns. And most people are starting not to do that. And it's very important that, especially with this busy season, as you have said, that whatever amount of money that you make, however, just make sure that you put aside a tax provision in relation to what you would have generated.
So let's discuss the pricing, the cost per 1,000 followers, and also average rates.
Yeah. So in terms of the cost and the average rates, it differs. Globally, we've seen number of influencers that can charge up to $100,000, for instance. Here in South Africa, what we've picked up as well is that people can start as little as your 2,000 to 3,000 rands. It can get up to 50,000 rands in terms of the charge that the influencers are charging to different businesses. And also depends as well in terms of who is the marketer that is coming to you, which product are you selling. Mainly with big businesses, of course, then the price tends to really go extremely high. However, with your normal products where it's just a certain business that is still a small business that is growing, influencers will charge a little bit less to a certain extent, just to accommodate and understanding that they are dealing with an SME.
So how important is financially literacy is important for influencers and also to develop their skills?
Financial literacy, look, in South Africa is one of those challenges that we are facing. And again, it's not only just on influencers, but SMEs as well. We always see, we pick this on day-to-day basis, Prudence, where a number of people are running businesses. However, they're not up to date in terms of what do your numbers say? Where are you going? All that matters to some of these people that are starting side hustles is the fact that, do I have money that can just sustain me for the next 30 days? Now, it's important that we bring awareness to say, look, financial literacy is what will actually keep your business sustainable. And most of the businesses or influencers, most of the time, they really focus on the fact that I am doing this particular product or manufacturing this particular product or I'm selling or I'm this brand. And at the end of the day, I'm generating money, but it's more than that. You have to get your house in order. Yeah. You have to get your tax affairs in order. You have to get your legal compliance in order. We've seen as well some of the restaurants, for instance, closing as a result of either they're not meeting your labor compliance issues. And is that part of the package when you run a business, that it's not all about the product, but the other departments that you have to ensure that you're up to date in relation to what is happening with them.
So talking about the compliance issues, so what are the consequences that influencers can be able to encounter if they don't meet those deadlines on meeting the non-tax compliances?
Yeah, one would have picked up that, look, SARS has started to really communicate with the taxpayers. Taxpayers are getting communication SMSs to say, look, you need to submit your tax returns. Now, the consequences of you really not declaring your additional income from SARS, one is that, look, there are penalties that you incur. On top of the penalties, there's interest that you are incurring, and it can go back up to 5 or 10 years if you have been generating this and haven't been declaring. So it's very important for people to really look at the impact, because the penalties and the interest sometimes can be even over than the capital amount or the original amount that you would have generated or declared to SARS. So it's very important that people really submit on time, submit their taxes, consult with tax practitioners that are registered either with SICA or number of professional bodies, just to ensure that you're on the right side of the law.
Before I actually let you go, what advice can you give for startup influencers that want to pursue the side hustle as a entrepreneurial or profitable income?
Yeah, well, I would say, look, it's very important that you first educate yourself. Yeah. When you're about to start any process of really generating income from yourself, it's not only just generating the income, but understand in terms of what are the obligations that you have. If you can't do that research by yourself, it's important that you surround yourself with a very good accountant that will really educate you to say, look, if you generate X amount of money, this is how much you're going to be taxed either as an individual. However, if you structure this into a business, these are the benefits thereof. So don't get into it without really understand what are the administration cost or responsibilities that you have to go with. Because at the end of the day, you can't say when it's 5 years down the line and SARS is coming after you to say, I didn't know. So I didn't know, it doesn't work in the court of law. So it's very important for people to really engage professionals, seek help, from entities like us as well, where we can really guide you, structure this thing so that it becomes sustainable, not only for 1 year, but for the next 5 or 10 years. Because we've seen that now influencers are starting to make a career out of this. It's no longer a situation where it's just a hobby. People are making a career out of it. So they need to understand that if I'm making a career out of this, how do I structure this? Do I do this as an individual, or else I'll have a business that will really manage all of the work that I'm doing? And these are the responsibilities and obligations that I have to deal with.
Well, thank you for joining us today on Africa Side Hustle, for sharing those insights with us.
Prudence, appreciate it.
That was Luncedo Mtwentwe, business advisory expert from Vantage Advisory. As we conclude today's episode, remember that Africa's entrepreneurial spirit is unstoppable. Turn your passions into profits and join the movement. Share your thoughts and hustle story with us on social media using hashtag Africa Side Hustle, and let's build a community of innovators and game changers. Don't forget to subscribe for more entrepreneurial stories, business news and insights on CNBCAfrica.com. Till next week.